A winter storm descends upon a big part of the East Coast, and the Piedmont is right in the middle of it.
And tonight on WXII 12 News at 10, a severe storm is pounding the Piedmont right now, rain coming down. A Louisville woman filed for an order of protection from a man on Monday and was shot dead by that same man this morning.
Okay, we don't know, but it's still going on, so that's the scary part, the unknowns.
Not even a week later, and we are facing yet another high-profile mass shooting in America.
At least 14 people are dead tonight in a mass shooting in San Bernardino, California.
Here's what we know at this time. At 11 this morning West Coast time, gunfire was heard at the Inland Regional Center. That facility serves people with developmental disabilities. Police say hundreds of people were inside.
Law enforcement from all over that area rushed to the scene. People were quickly evacuated, and a triage unit was set up in the street just outside that building to immediately treat the wounded. From a 15-1 regular season all the way to the Super Bowl, the Carolina Panthers may have fallen one game short tonight, but they're still finishing with a season for the history books. Their thunderous start to the season, creating thousands of forever fans here in the Carolinas, and cemented Cam Newton's status as a quarterback to remember. Those fans still stand strong tonight. We are Panthers Nation. We are WXII 12 News.
You're watching WXII 12.
Tonight on WXII 12 News.
You've received over $600,000 in speaking fees from Goldman Sachs in 1 year.
We're at least having a vigorous debate about reining in Wall Street. The Republicans want to give them more power.
The Democratic candidates heat up as primary voting draws near.
Democrats are fired up about tonight's presidential debate. I'm Bill O'Neill in Charleston. I'll have the story coming up.
The Carolina Panthers headed to the NFC Championship game, 31-24 the victory. But oh man, we're going to hear from the man himself, the player of the game.
Plus, from snow to very cold air and wind chill values below zero.
Covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 11.
Wish it was a lot more. I wish we had it at Christmas. I wish we had it at New Year's. So it's too little, too late for me.
I could do without it all. I'd rather it be 75.
Some mixed reaction today as large portions of the Piedmont Triad woke up to snow outside of their bedroom windows.
May have not been a winter wonderland out there, but for a lot of people, especially the children, that dusting of snow enough to get them really excited.
From Midway to Moxville to Winston-Salem, we're getting a lot of photos from people taking advantage of this rare snowfall.
But before lunchtime, we started to see all that snow melt away.
Not sticking around. Chief Meteorologist Lainey Pope is in the Weather Center now. And Lainey, what should we expect to wake up to tomorrow?
Well, for the kids, it won't be that blanket of snow we had out there this morning. Always that first snow, so much fun. You will see along with nights in the teens.
Thank you, Lainey. Of course, Lainey and the rest of our WXII 12 weather team members have been talking about this morning's snowfall for the past couple of days. Their forecast was spot on. You can always catch up on the latest weather forecasts and alerts on WXII12.com or on our new mobile app. There you can find closures and delays like the ones already in place for tomorrow morning. Grayson County and Carroll County, Virginia schools will be on a 2-hour delay.
Tonight, it is the Democrats' time to shine. Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and Martin O'Malley all in Charleston tonight for the first Democratic debate of 2016. Now, just hours before the debate was set to begin, NBC News released a new national poll of the latest standings in the race for the Democratic nomination. While Sanders and Clinton are neck and neck in some early voting states, Clinton holds a 25-point national lead. WXII 12's Bill O'Neill was at the debate tonight and will join us in just a few moments to talk about parts of the night that got the audience going the most. But first, we send it over to Sally Kidd in Washington with a recap of the debate.
Talitha, just before tonight's debate, a surprise from the Sanders camp. Details of his universal health care plan, which Hillary Clinton pounced on.
That is nonsense.
To tear it up and start over again.
The debate brought some of the sharpest exchanges yet among the candidates, with Senator Bernie Sanders touting his newly released universal health care plan.
Right now, what we have to deal with is the fact that 29 million people still have no health insurance.
I want us to defend and build on the Affordable Care Act and improve it.
The candidates also mixed it up on guns.
He voted against the Brady bill 5 times. He voted for what we call the Charleston loophole.
I think Secretary Clinton knows that what she says is very disingenuous.
Hillary Clinton took on Sanders for reversing his support for a law that shields gun manufacturers from lawsuits.
What I said is I would relook at it. We are going to relook at it, and I will support stronger provisions.
They've both been inconsistent when it comes to this issue. I'm the one candidate on this stage that actually brought people together to pass comprehensive gun safety legislation.
And sparks flew over who would be the toughest on Wall Street.
We're at least having a vigorous debate about reining in Wall Street. The Republicans want to give them more power.
I think it's time to put the government back on their backs.
I have put forward a plan that would actually put cops back on the beat of Wall Street.
Now, the Democrats will not have their next debate until February 11th. And of course, that's after the voting is over in Iowa and New Hampshire. In Washington, Sally Kidd, WXII 12 News.
And tonight's debate coming just 1 week after news of some tight polling in Iowa between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. And that news had Clinton ramping up her attacks against her chief opponent. Our Bill O'Neill was at the debate in Charleston tonight. Bill, did that add some heat to tonight's discussion?
Oh, without a doubt, there was some more heat tonight than we've ever seen. But in the final analysis, I believe that there was really no knockout blows, no major gaffes. This nomination remains Hillary Clinton's to lose at this point in time. They were certainly tougher with each other tonight. I think Sanders scored some points when it came to the Wall Street stuff, pointing out that Clinton had received some $600,000. I think Clinton scored some points jumping on the health care issue, saying we cannot blow it up the way Bernie Sanders wants to do, that we must stay the course. The Democrats have invested so much time and money into this, they can't allow the Republicans to repeal it. Martin O'Malley certainly got some nice points in tonight, but he certainly did not have a breakout performance that he would need to get into this race. So in the final analysis, I believe that Hillary Clinton had a slight victory tonight and that she looked presidential. She looked like she was in charge. But there are other people here tonight. Let's get some of their thoughts. Stephen Tequila is the mayor of Florence, South Carolina. He was in tonight's debate. Anything in particular stand out for you, what you heard?
Well, you know, I think it's a continuation of the process for Bernie Sanders trying to become familiar here in South Carolina to voters. Of course, this really is Hillary Clinton's firewall. She seems to be feeling the heat in New Hampshire and Iowa. Sanders, though, is not well known, particularly among African-American voters. Although people around here remember that at this point in time, 8 years ago, Barack Obama was trailing to Hillary Clinton. So there's a lot of time left in the race.
And anything in particular that you heard that you said, oh, that really surprised me?
Well, I think the Wall Street issues, Sanders made some strong points. I thought it was a little bit disingenuous, Hillary Clinton's claims that Bernie Sanders wasn't for universal health care, in some way was opposed to the Affordable Care Act, although she's still very, very strong in South Carolina, and Sanders got a long way to build those relationships.
Stephen Wakila, Florence Mayor, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you much.
Appreciate meeting you. 2 weeks away from the Iowa caucus, I'm Bill O'Neill in Charleston, South Carolina. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Bill. Both the Democratic candidates and the Republican candidates are looking ahead to the fast approaching primaries. Now, the first voting begins in just 15 days in Iowa. Before that, the Republican field will get one more chance to meet up and debate. The next Republican debate is on January 28th in Iowa. I'll tell you one thing, the Republican candidates may not have been debating tonight, but they certainly were getting their message across to a national audience. Several candidates appeared on morning political talk shows discussing everything from the war on terror to President Obama.
I will apologize to no one with how vigorous I will be winning the war on terror, defeating radical Islamic terrorism.
But I like to be good. I don't like to have to ask for forgiveness, and I am good. I don't do a lot of things that are bad. I try and do nothing that's bad.
I'm campaigning on behalf of American values, and I don't seek to divide people against each other. That's the problem we have with the current president.
The president's first impulse is to push someone away and down to make himself look bigger and higher. And we have to have a president that begins to solve problems.
North Carolina voters still have 58 days to pick a candidate to throw their support behind. The primary voting day is scheduled for March 15th, and if you want to learn more about the candidates, we have got you covered. WXI 12 News definitely wants to help, and you can head on over to our website, WXI12.com, and click on the politics page for our latest stories.
In the NFL today, it was divisional matchup deja vu. The Carolina Panthers and the Seattle Seahawks meeting up once again in the playoffs, but this time fortune fell the way of the Panthers. WXII 12 Sports Director Brian Formica was in Charlotte for today's game, which saw the Panthers punch their ticket to the NFC Championship game and get another step closer to the Super Bowl. Brian?
The Carolina Panthers are going to the NFC Championship game, and a lot of these players, I said, hey, what's that like? And they said, I don't know. I've never been there yet. Just fascinating stuff. One of those players who was just so excited was Jonathan Stewart, and he is the workhorse, the star of this game. 106 total rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the day, all coming in the first half. He's the first Panther in playoff history to score 2 touchdowns in a single game. I caught up with him right after this 31-24 Panthers victory over the Seattle Seahawks and asked him what's it like being head and hosting the NFC Championship game.
You know, my first time, so I'm ready to get it going. We got a whole week to prepare, and you know, it's just a blessing, man. You know, and this whole season's been a blessing, and this team, you know, no other team could do what we're doing right now this year, and it's amazing.
And an awesome moment here after the game. A couple fans were still hanging around. The entire Panthers team came out and ran around the perimeter of the stadium, high-fiving each and every fan that was still here waiting and celebrating. Can you believe it? The Carolina Panthers head to the NFC Championship game next Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals right here at Bank of America Stadium. I'm Brian Formica for WXI 12 News. We'll be here all week. Throw things back to you.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Lots of excitement there. I tell you one thing, fans in Charlotte were sporting a lot of Panthers pride at the game, but so were a lot of viewers here at home. We want to see how you're representing the Panthers on their path to the Super Bowl. So why don't you send us over some pictures using the hashtag WXII Panther Pride. Well, the Triad prepares to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Some of the events in store for the day and the traffic alert you need to know about ahead of time.
Plus, they are coming home. A group of Americans begins a journey back home after years behind bars in Iran.
All the snow has melted away. Now we're talking about some very cold air that will greet you in the morning. What the wind will do tomorrow as well, coming up.
New tonight, the Pilot Mountain Fire Department is no longer having to run 24-hour surveillance of that long-burning fire at a tire recycling plant. Surrey County Fire Marshal's Department decided to make that change today. A lot of time and manpower has gone into keeping a close watch on that fire over the past 6 days. EPA has been in the area monitoring water and air quality levels to make sure that residents are safe. Officials say they're just letting that fire fully burn out.
Greensboro police are actively investigating a shooting on High Drive that happened tonight. Police responded to a shooting call around 8 o'clock tonight and found a victim with a gunshot wound. Police say that person's injuries are not life-threatening. Meantime, the suspects were last seen heading north toward Hudgens Drive.
The next thing I know, they came in there running, telling me that she took off with the baby. She didn't put no jacket, no shoes, she had nothing on but her pajamas.
5-year-old High Point girl is back home safe tonight. Police say that Desiree Geigel was taken from her guardian's home last night by her mother. Her mother, Sarah Fudge, did not have permission to take her. Family was worried because the little girl has severe allergies and was without her EpiPen. Well, this morning she was safely returned, but her mother remains on the run and she faces felony child abduction charges.
In Greensboro, still no updates in the search for a missing 19-year-old. Tiara Williams was last seen on January 7th. Her family reported her missing the next day. Police say she has last been seen around the Stony Brook Apartments on Webster Road. A volunteer search party combed through the area yesterday. Police believe she may be in danger. If you have information about her disappearance, call Crime Stoppers. You may be eligible for a reward.
But they never gave in and they never gave up. At long last, they can stand tall and breathe deep the fresh air of freedom.
3 Americans released by Iran are now on their way back home as part of a prisoner exchange coinciding with the end of the Iranian economic sanctions.
The last update that we received was that the Americans had arrived in Germany at a U.S. air base. 4 Americans were released, but 1 was not on the plane to Germany.
Those Americans were released as part of a prisoner exchange. Those sanctions ended as part of Iran's nuclear agreement. Well, tomorrow is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and there are a lot of events locally planned in his honor.
Veronica White takes a closer look at a few of those planned events and a big traffic delay.
That's right. Starting early on, breakfast will be held at occasions on Front Street in Burlington at 8 a.m. and in Winston-Salem, the annual Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast will take place at the Benton Convention Center. That also starts at 8. The annual MLK noon hour commemoration is also taking place at the Benton Convention Center. Doors open at 11. That's free. And North Carolina Congresswoman Alma Adams will be the keynote speaker. And an MLK Day of Service is going on at Four Seasons Town Center in Greensboro. Projects range from food and book drives to creating care kits for cancer patients. It lasts from 10 to 2. And part of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in Greensboro will be closed for several hours tomorrow for the annual MLK Day Parade. Always draws a big crowd each year. The first section to close is Buff to Goral Streets. That's at 10:30. The road will then close in phases during the parade. It's all expected to wrap up by 3 in the afternoon. Live in the newsroom, Veronica White, WXII 12 News.
All right, thank you, Veronica. We saw in some of that video there, people had gloves on from last year for the parade.
Yeah, well, at least you're not wearing snow boots. That snow came and went.
Yeah, it's gone pretty fast out there today, but hopefully kids got out to enjoy it. And yeah, it's not going to cause any problems out there. Now we have to deal with the cold and the wind. Take a look earlier today. You're going to look at the campus of Elon University, where actually, even in Alamance County, there was a little bit of snow out there this morning. And then that, too, kind of faded away. In fact, it didn't even really stick on the campus of Elon. Had some reports of snowflakes in Burlington and Graham too, but again, nothing there on the grass. Now, we had that snow come through from about 6 a.m. this morning till about 11 a.m. Some of it stuck in some spots, about a ½ inch or so. We're going to run through some of the snowfall totals right for you right now. We've got a ½ inch in Greensboro, just about 3/4 inch in Winston-Salem, about a 1/4 inch, and may bring us a mix of wintry weather. We'll be right back.
You're watching WXII 12. And now, the Modern Automotive Sports Report.
Well, the Seattle Seahawks mounted a furious second-half comeback, but the Carolina Panthers hung on, and now they are moving on to the NFC Championship game next week. Our sports director, Brian Formica, was there. He takes a look at today's win and the next step in the path to the Super Bowl.
Would it be the Carolina Panthers if they didn't scare the life out of their fans after gaining a huge lead in the first half and then almost giving it away in the second, only to win the ball game? It seems like it's gone that way most times this season, but still, a win is a win. The NFC Championship game, here they come. This one was wild. This one started out with Jonathan Stewart. The first drive, a 4-yard touchdown, made it 7-zip Panthers, and then the Seahawks get the ball. Their first drive, and Russell Wilson gets flushed out of the pocket, tosses it, is picked off by Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly says, "You're in my house, and this is my end zone." 14-zip Panthers at that point. This is still in the first half. If that's not enough, in the second quarter, at the start, Stewart, again, this time from 1 yard out, and it is 21-zip. So after a field goal, Cam Newton, he decides to get on the action. He finds Greg Olsen, 19 yards downfield, 31-zip. What a catch by Olsen. And 31-zip to score at halftime. The Panthers, though, they need to work on second-half pressure. They allowed Seattle 24 unanswered points in the second half, nearly let them tie it up, but check the final. 31 was enough. And the Carolina Panthers will host the NFC Championship game next Sunday. We caught up with the players on the field immediately after.
It's exciting. You know, we came out with a plan today. You know, we executed. You know, second half we started a little bit slow. But, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, we got the win.
You know, we're not done yet. We feel like we can take this thing the whole way. We felt like that the whole year. And we're going to enjoy this one.
Man, we just got to keep pounding regardless of. And those guys, they came out fighting, man. They didn't let down not one time, man. I love playing against those guys.
So that will be an evening game here at Bank of America Stadium around 6 o'clock. Next Sunday, they will host the Arizona Cardinals for the NFC Championship game. And guys, if you didn't know, if they win that, they're headed to the Super Bowl. In Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, I'm Brian Formica. We'll throw things back to you.
All right, great job. Thanks, Brian. And college basketball, a big ACC game coming up tomorrow. Duke welcomes Syracuse to Cameron Indoor Stadium. Blue Devils have lost 2 straight. They first fell at Clemson, then lost at home to Notre Dame. Well, Syracuse has won 2 straight. They blew out both Boston College and Wake Forest. Tip-off in Durham tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And that's sports.
Lainey Pope joins us now for your last look at your forecast.
And it's going to be cold out there tomorrow, a high of 32 with sunshine, but the wind is going to be strong, so it's going to make you feel a lot colder than that. Here's a look at the rest of the week's forecast. We've got another chance of precipitation on Friday.
All right, thank you, Lainey. That's all for WXII 12 News at 11. I'm Cameron Kent.
And I'm Talitha Vickers. Make it a great night.
When